Everything is about to explode, and this time it's not just business, it's family, betrayal, and a dangerous game that could destroy everything. Because in Genoa City, one man is quietly preparing to strike, and no one, not even his own allies, fully understands how far he's willing to go. And while everyone is distracted by broken marriages and emotional fallout, a secret war against Victor Newman is already in motion. It starts quietly, but it won't stay that way. At the GCAC, the atmosphere is tense before a single word is even spoken. Diane Jenkins Abbott sits at a table, her posture stiff, her expression guarded. She's trying to hold herself together, but inside, everything is unraveling. Because she knows something isn't right. Not just in her marriage, not just in her family, but at Jabot. And when Jack Abbott approaches her, she doesn't even try to hide the irritation in her eyes. There's no warmth, no softness, only distance. Jack slows as he reaches her, clearly aware of the wall she's built between them. He takes a breath, choosing his words carefully. He's here to apologize. Again, but this time, it feels different. More desperate. More urgent. Because deep down, Jack knows he's running out of chances. He gently brings up Victor Newman, trying to shift the conversation into something strategic, something they can unite against. He tells Diane they can't let Victor win, not like this, not when everything is already falling apart. But the moment Victor's name leaves Jack's lips, Diane's reaction is immediate. Sharp, cold, explosive. She doesn't care about Victor right now, she doesn't care about business, because in her eyes Jack already handed Victor a victory the moment he betrayed her. She fires back at him, her voice tight with emotion, reminding him exactly what he did. He slept with Patty Williams, and no matter what excuse he gives, that fact doesn't change. Jack doesn't argue, he doesn't deflect. He owns it. He admits he was on drugs. That he wasn't himself. That he made a mistake. A terrible, devastating mistake. But even as he says it, he knows it's not enough. Because how do you explain something like that to the person you hurt the most? How do you undo that kind of damage? Jack's voice softens. He tells Diane he's sorry, for everything, for the betrayal, for the pain, for the chaos he brought into their lives. And for a moment, it almost feels real, almost. But Diane isn't moved. Not yet. Because the wound is still too fresh. Too deep. She looks at him, and there's nothing but anger behind her eyes. Not loud anger, not screaming, but something quieter, something heavier, disappointment. And that's worse. Jack says he'll do anything, anything to earn her forgiveness, anything to fix what he broke. But Diane doesn't respond the way he hopes, because forgiveness isn't something she can just give. Not now. Maybe not ever. She tells him the truth. She's still too angry, too hurt, too broken. And as those words hang in the air, Jack realizes something terrifying. He might not be able to fix this, not this time. Before he can say anything else, Kyle Abbott appears, and just like that, the moment is over. Kyle greets his parents, sensing the tension immediately. He doesn't need an explanation, it's written all over their faces, and when Diane mentions dinner, Jack hesitates. For a second he considers asking to join them, trying to hold on to something normal, something familiar, but then he looks at Diane, really looks at her, and he already knows the answer. Still, he asks, quietly, carefully, and Diane doesn't even hesitate. She shuts it down, completely, cold, final. It would be futile. Jack nods slowly, swallowing the disappointment, and then he leaves, alone, again. As Diane and Kyle sit down for dinner, there's an uncomfortable silence between them, because Kyle knows this isn't just about a fight, this is something bigger, something more serious. And he doesn't waste time pretending otherwise. He tells Diane she can't avoid his father forever, that at some point she's going to have to face him, deal with him, figure out where they stand. But Diane hears something else in his words, something that hits deeper, something that triggers a new fear. She looks at Kyle, her expression shifting, and suddenly, this isn't about Jack anymore, it's about Jabot. She asks him directly, is this about the company? Is he telling her that if she doesn't fix things with Jack, she's out? Is she being pushed out of Jabot? The question catches Kyle off guard, because that's not what he meant. Not at all. He quickly reassures her, that's not happening, it's not even a possibility, Jabot needs her, the company would suffer without her, and he means that. But the damage is already done. Because Diane's fear didn't come out of nowhere, it came from somewhere real, somewhere buried under everything else. Kyle tries to explain. He just wants to fix their family, that's all. He wants his parents to find their way back to each other, but as he speaks, he realizes something. He's pushing her, hard, too hard. And it's not fair. Diane's eyes fill with emotion, but she fights it back. She doesn't want to cry, not here, not now, but she's overwhelmed by everything, by the pressure, by the pain, by the uncertainty, and suddenly, she can't sit there anymore. She stands up. Abrupt, shaken, she tells Kyle she can't do this, not tonight. She leans in, hugs him tightly, holding on just a little longer than usual, and then, she walks away, leaving Kyle sitting there, realizing he might have just made things worse. Meanwhile, somewhere else in Genoa City, Jack is dealing with the fallout in his own way. He finds Tracy Abbott. And for the first time all day, he lets his guard down. Completely, he tells her everything. The argument, the rejection, the fear. And Tracy listens, as she always does. Calm, patient, understanding. But she doesn't sugarcoat things. She tells Jack the truth. If he wants Diane back, he has to earn it. Not with words, not with apologies, but with actions. Real actions. Consistent actions. He has to rebuild her trust, piece by piece. No shortcuts, no expectations, and most importantly, he has to be prepared for the possibility that it might not work, that Diane might not come back. Jack takes that in, and it hits him hard. Because for the first time, he truly understands what he's up against. This isn't just about fixing a mistake. This is about rebuilding something that might already be gone. Back at the Chancellor Mansion, a different kind of storm is brewing. Devon Winters is pacing. Restless. Angry. Still shaken by everything that happened with Dominic. The kidnapping, the fear, the betrayal, and when Lily Winters listens to him recount the details, it's clear he's not just upset, he's furious. Because in his mind, what Mariah did is unforgivable. He doesn't care about explanations, he doesn't care about emotional breakdowns, all he sees is what could have happened, what almost happened, and that's enough. Lily tries to offer a different perspective. She suggests that Mariah needs help, serious psychiatric help, that this wasn't just a crime, it was a mental health crisis. But Devon doesn't want to hear it. To him that sounds like an excuse, a way to avoid real consequences, a slap on the wrist. And he's not okay with that, not when it comes to his son, not when it comes to his family. And as the tension between them builds, it becomes clear that this situation is far from over, because Devon isn't just angry, he's determined. Determined to make sure Mariah pays. No matter what it takes, and while all of this is happening, another move is quietly being set into motion. At the coffeehouse, Cain Ashby sits across from Holden Novak. And the conversation they're having could change everything. Cain doesn't waste time, he gets straight to the point. He has a job. A specific job, one that requires precision, discretion, and a willingness to cross a line. He wants Holden to get close to Claire Newman, spend time with her, gain her trust, and then report back. Everything, because Claire is connected to Victor, and if Cain wants to take Victor down, he needs information. Real information, from the inside, but Holden doesn't react the way Cain expects. He doesn't jump at the opportunity, he doesn't even hesitate. He shuts it down, immediately. Because to him, this isn't just a job, it's manipulation, it's using someone. Dragging Claire into something dangerous, something she doesn't deserve to be part of, and he won't do it. No matter how much money is involved. Cain studies him for a moment, surprised. But not angry. He understands, at least on the surface. He tells Holden he respects his decision, that he won't force him, but then he adds something else, something important. That's the only offer on the table, no alternatives, no backup plan, this is it. And if Holden walks away, that opportunity is gone. Holden considers it. Because he could use the money, he really could. But even then, he doesn't change his mind. He tells Cain to keep him in mind for something else, something cleaner, something that doesn't involve hurting someone innocent. Cain nods, but deep down, he's already thinking ahead. Because one way or another, he's going after Victor, and this is just the beginning. Cain doesn't chase Holden as he leaves. He doesn't try to convince him again. He just sits there for a moment, quiet, still, thinking, because even though Holden walked away, the plan hasn't changed. If anything, it just became more dangerous. Because now Cain knows something important. Not everyone is willing to cross the line with him. And that means he'll have to find someone who will, or he'll do it himself. At Crimson Lights, the energy feels lighter on the surface. People come and go, coffee machines hum, conversations blur together, but underneath all of that, tension is building. Because Lily Winters walks in, and the moment she spots Cain, everything shifts. Her steps slow, her expression tightens. There's history here, deep history, and unresolved emotion that hasn't gone anywhere. She approaches him carefully, not aggressively, not emotionally, just cautiously, like someone stepping into a situation they're not sure they can control. She calls his name, soft, measured. But Cain doesn't turn toward her with warmth. He doesn't smile, he doesn't soften. He barely reacts at all. Because whatever he's feeling, he's keeping it locked down. Lily tries anyway. She tells him they need to talk. That they can't keep avoiding this, that too much has happened. Too much is still hanging in the air between them. But Cain shuts it down. Quick, cold, he tells her there's nothing to talk about. And before she can say anything else, he walks away. Just like that. No explanation, no hesitation, leaving Lily standing there, stunned, hurt, and confused. Because that's not just avoidance, that's something else, something deeper, something more final. Before Lily can process it, Holden steps in. He saw everything, the tension, the shutdown, the way Cain walked away like none of it mattered. And he knows that's not the full story. He sits down across from Lily, his tone calmer, more open, and for a moment, Lily hesitates. Because she doesn't know Holden like that. But at the same time, she needs answers, and right now, he's the only one offering any. Holden doesn't waste time. He tells her the truth. About Cain, about how he's been acting, about the intensity, the pressure, the urgency. He tells her something that immediately grabs her attention, that when she and the twins were gone, Cain was frantic. Not worried. Not concerned. Frantic. Pushing people, digging into leads. Sending Holden all the way to Los Angeles to investigate. Because in Cain's mind, something was wrong, something serious. Lily's expression shifts. Because that doesn't match reality. At all, she tells Holden the truth. They were never in danger, not even close. Whatever Cain thought was happening, it wasn't real, and that realization hits Holden differently. Because now, it's not just about Cain being intense. It's about him being wrong, dangerously wrong. Holden leans forward slightly, lowering his voice. And then he says something that changes everything. He tells Lily about the look in Cain's eyes earlier. That moment, when he was talking about Victor, that wasn't just anger, that wasn't just frustration, that was something darker, something calculated, something that made Holden uncomfortable. And now, with everything else, it starts to form a clearer picture. Cain isn't just upset, he's planning something, something big, something risky, and something that could pull everyone around him into it. Including Lily. Holden makes it clear she needs to stay away, as far away as possible, because whatever Cain is about to do, there's going to be fallout. And if she's anywhere near it, she could get hurt. Not physically, but in ways that matter just as much. Emotionally, personally, and maybe even legally. Lily sits back, processing everything, because part of her wants to dismiss it. To believe that Cain wouldn't go that far, that he wouldn't spiral into something reckless. But another part of her, the part that knows him best, isn't so sure, because she's seen that look before, that intensity, that obsession, and it never ends well. Meanwhile, at Society, Abby Winters is sitting across from Daniel Romalotti Jr., and the conversation they're having is just as complicated, just as emotional, just as unresolved. Because they're talking about Mariah and what comes next. Abby's voice is careful, measured, but there's guilt underneath it. Real guilt. She asks Daniel what the long-term plan is, what happens after Mariah gets out of the mental hospital, because in her mind, that's not the end of the story, that's just the beginning. Daniel doesn't have a clear answer, and he doesn't pretend to. He admits that things are uncertain, that they're taking it one step at a time, but he believes in Mariah. He believes she's committed to getting better, that she understands what she did, that she wants to make things right. And most importantly, he believes the judge made the right call. Abby listens. But it's not that simple for her, because belief doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't erase the fear, the trauma, the reality of what Mariah did. She admits something quietly, something she hasn't fully said out loud before. That part of her feels responsible, that if she hadn't stepped away, if she had been there, maybe none of this would have happened. But even as she says it, she knows that's not entirely true. Because at the end of the day, Mariah made that choice. Mariah committed the crime, and no amount of guilt can change that. Later, Abby meets up with Devon, and the tension between them is immediate. Because they're on opposite sides of this. Completely, Abby is conflicted, torn between understanding and accountability, but Devon is clear, focused, and absolutely unwilling to compromise. He tells her exactly how he feels, that what Mariah did deserves real punishment. Not therapy, not treatment. Punishment. Because in his eyes, what happened wasn't just a breakdown, it was a crime, a serious one. And the fact that she's avoiding prison, that doesn't sit right with him, at all. Abby tries to reason with him, to find some middle ground. But Devon isn't looking for that. He's already thinking ahead, already planning his next move. He tells her something that surprises her. He's going to make sure the judge and the district attorney pay for this. Politically, professionally. He's going to make sure they don't get re-elected. That their decision has consequences. Real consequences. Abby stares at him, because that's not just anger, that's a mission, a full-on mission. And she asks him the question that's been building in her mind. What happens after that? After the judge? After the DA? After the system? What then? Devon's answer is simple, cold. He wants justice, for Dominic, for their family, and in his mind justice hasn't been served, not even close. And until it is, he's not stopping. Back across town, Jack sits alone for a moment after talking to Tracy, and for the first time all day, he allows himself to feel it fully, the weight of everything. The possibility that Diane might never forgive him, that his marriage might be over, that he might have lost her for good. And it terrifies him, because this isn't just about love. This is about his future, his family, his stability, everything he thought he had. And now, it's all uncertain. But Jack Abbott isn't someone who gives up easily, not on business, and definitely not on family. He thinks back to what Tracy said about earning trust, about actions over words. And slowly, a shift begins. Because if Diane won't come back to him, he's going to give her a reason to. Not by pushing, not by pressuring, but by showing her that he can be better, that he is better. Meanwhile, Diane walks alone through the night, still processing everything, the fight, the dinner, Kyle's words, Jack's apology, and beneath all of that, a deeper fear, one she hasn't fully faced yet. What if this doesn't get fixed? What if this is it? What if her marriage is really over? She pauses for a moment, breathing in slowly, trying to steady herself. Because she doesn't have answers, not yet. But one thing is clear, things can't stay like this. Something has to change. Somewhere else in Genoa City, Cain Ashby is already making his next move. He stands alone, phone in hand, thinking, calculating, because even without Holden, the plan is still alive, still moving, still building, and Victor Newman has no idea what's coming. Because this isn't just a business rivalry anymore, this is personal, strategic, and potentially explosive. Cain looks down at his phone, hesitates for just a second, and then he makes the call. We don't hear what he says, we don't see who answers. But one thing is certain, this isn't over, not even close. Because while Diane and Jack fight to save their marriage, while Devon fights for justice, while Lily tries to understand what's really happening, Cain is setting something in motion. Something bigger than all of them. Something that could change everything. The only question is, when it all comes crashing down, who's going to be left standing? And more importantly, who's going to pay the price?